We live in a world where people often run tirelessly after wealth, thinking it will bring happiness, peace, and success. But in reality, true wealth is not in the number of coins in your pocket, but in the contentment of your heart. When you put Allah first, when you focus on pleasing Him rather than chasing the world, you'll find that the very blessings you thought you had to run after will begin to run towards you. It's not about abandoning effort, but about shifting your intention from worldly greed to spiritual fulfillment. This is the secret many overlook. When you stop chasing money for its own sake, Allah places it in your path in ways you could never imagine. When you set out to earn a living, one of the first things you must look at is your intention. Intention is the foundation upon which every action is judged in the sight of Allah. It is what transforms a routine task into an act of worship, or what can turn a seemingly good act into something devoid of reward. If your intention in earning is purely to accumulate wealth, to compete with others, or to feed the ego, then that pursuit will remain worldly, limited in its benefit and scope. But when your intention is to earn to fulfill your responsibilities, to support your family, to avoid begging, to give in charity, and to live a life pleasing to Allah, then your work becomes an act of ibadah, a means of drawing closer to Him. This is the difference between chasing money and being blessed with it. The heart that earns with sincerity is never enslaved to wealth, but the one that earns with greed will never find enough. Even the same amount of money in the hands of two people can have completely different effects. For one, it may be a means of destruction because the intention behind it was corrupt. For the other, it may be a source of blessing and goodness, because it was sought for the right reasons. This is why the Prophet A taught us that actions are judged by intentions, and every person will have what they intended. When your purpose is right, Allah places barakah in your earnings, and that barakah can make a small income stretch further than a large one earned with wrong intentions. It is not just about working hard but working with the right heart. Even when opportunities come your way, your response to them will be guided by your intention. You will naturally choose what is halal over what is doubtful, and you will feel no temptation to compromise your values for temporary gain. On the other hand, when the intention is flawed, you might be tempted to justify wrong means, because the focus is on the end result, rather than the morality of the process. Intention shapes your decisions, your ethics, and your relationship with money. This is why scholars emphasize correcting your niyyah before starting any endeavor. When you wake up in the morning with the intention to earn for the sake of Allah, to protect yourself from haram, and to contribute to the welfare of others, your daily work becomes a form of sadaqah. Even the fatigue you feel at the end of the day is rewarded, and if ever you face a setback or loss, you will find peace knowing your aim was never purely material, but spiritual as well. You will not measure success by the number of digits in your bank account, but by the purity of your means and the contentment of your heart. Such an approach frees you from the endless rat race and keeps you focused on the real provider, the one who controls all sustenance, the one who can give without limit, and the one who places value in your earnings beyond what the numbers show. One of the greatest truths a believer must internalize is that Allah is the sole provider. No matter how skilled you are, how connected you may be, or how tirelessly you work, your sustenance will only come to you by the will of Allah. This understanding changes everything because it shifts your reliance from people, markets, and circumstances to the one who created them all. When you truly believe that Allah is our Rizq, the provider, you stop panicking when things seem slow or opportunities appear scarce. You realize that your efforts are only a means, and the result is entirely in His hands. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing, but it means you put your heart at ease knowing that what is written for you will reach you, and what is not meant for you will never come, no matter how much you chase it. Many times in life we see people who do everything right in terms of worldly planning but still face loss, and others who have little planning yet are blessed abundantly. This is a reminder that provision is not tied solely to human effort, but to divine decree. It is Allah who opens doors you didn't even knock on, and sometimes closes doors you thought were the only way forward, to lead you towards something better for you in both this life and the next. Trusting in Allah's plan allows you to work without desperation, without cutting corners, without falling into haram, because you know your rizq cannot be taken by anyone else, and it cannot be delayed beyond its appointed time. This mindset also protects you from arrogance when you do succeed, because you know it is not your brilliance or hard work alone that brought you there, but the favor and mercy of Allah. It also shields you from despair when you face setbacks, because you know the one who withheld is the same one who can give at any moment. The Quran reminds us again and again that Allah provides in ways we cannot imagine, sometimes from sources we never expected, and sometimes through means that seem small but carry immense barakah. When you live with this conviction, you start focusing less on the race for more and more wealth, and more on doing what pleases Allah in your earning. You choose honesty over deceit, patience over anxiety, halal over haram, even if it seems like the slower road, because you know that only what is decreed for you will remain with you. This trust in Allah's role as provider brings a deep sense of peace in your daily life, a calm that the chase for money can never bring, and a certainty that as long as you obey Him, He will never abandon you. Contentment is one of the greatest treasures a person can possess, and it is something that no amount of money can buy. True wealth is not measured by how much you have in your hand, but by how satisfied you are with what Allah has given you. When your heart is content, you are free from the constant anxiety of wanting more, from comparing yourself to others, and from feeling inadequate because of what you don't have. Contentment allows you to enjoy the present blessings, without being blinded by the desire for future gains. It turns simple meals into feasts and modest homes into palaces, because the value you see is not in the size or luxury, but in the blessing itself. Many people chase wealth their entire lives only to realize that the peace they were searching for was never in the numbers, it was in the state of their heart. When you learn to be content, you start to see that Allah has already given you more than you could ever thank Him for. You begin to recognize the hidden barakah in your life, such as health, family, safety, and faith, things that money cannot replace if lost. Contentment does not mean you stop working hard or striving for better, but it means you are grateful and satisfied with whatever Allah decrees for you in the process. This gratitude brings more blessings, as Allah promises in the Quran that if you are thankful, He will surely increase you. Without contentment, even the richest person can feel poor, because no amount will ever be enough to fill the emptiness inside. But with contentment, even the poorest person can feel rich, because their heart is not attached to what they lack. The Prophet taught that richness is not in the abundance of possessions, but in the richness of the soul. This inner richness protects you from greed, envy, and the constant dissatisfaction that comes with comparing your life to others. In a world where people are bombarded with images of luxury and excess, holding on to contentment is like holding on to a rare jewel. It requires reminding yourself that the dunya is temporary and that real success is in the hereafter. When you train your heart to be content, you naturally avoid the traps of debt, dishonesty and unhealthy competition, because you are not desperate to chasing money. Can be one of the most exhausting pursuits in life, because it often becomes a never-ending cycle. When your primary focus is on accumulating wealth for its own sake, you begin to measure your worth by what you own, or display to the world. This creates a mindset where enough is never enough, and each achievement only fuels the desire for more. The pursuit of money can blind you to your true purpose in life, which is to worship Allah, fulfill your responsibilities, and prepare for the hereafter. The problem is not in earning, because Islam encourages honest work and providing for oneself and one's family, but in making money the ultimate goal. When money becomes your master, your decisions, relationships, and even your morals can start to revolve around it. You may find yourself compromising your values to secure a deal, neglecting your family to work longer hours, or missing prayers because you are caught up in business. Slowly, the love for wealth can creep into the heart until it overshadows the love for Allah and the desire to please Him. This blind pursuit often leads people to take on unnecessary stress, feeling anxious about the future and dissatisfied with the present. It can make a person envious of others who seem to have more, constantly comparing lifestyles and achievements. In the process, gratitude disappears, and with it, the peace that comes from recognizing Allah's blessings. A person can spend their entire life chasing after financial milestones, thinking that once they reach a certain figure in the bank, they will finally relax and feel happy, only to realize that the target keeps moving further away. This is because the human desire for more is endless, unless it is controlled by contentment and guided by faith. The Quran warns us that the love of wealth can be a distraction from the remembrance of Allah, and if left unchecked, it can lead to ruin both in this life and in the next. When your eyes are fixed solely on money, it is easy to forget the true meaning of success. A large income is meaningless if it comes at the cost of your health, peace of mind, family relationships, or your connection with Allah. Wealth that is earned at the expense of your deen is not a blessing but a test, and sometimes even a punishment. Many people think that financial gain will solve all their problems, but often, it brings new challenges, such as greed, arrogance, and fear of loss. The love of wealth can lead to dishonesty, exploitation of others, and even forgetting the rights of those who depend on you, like your family and the poor. The Prophet warned about the dangers of this love for wealth, reminding us that it can be more destructive than many other temptations. Chasing money can also distort your sense of time. You may find yourself working endlessly, postponing acts of worship or good deeds, telling yourself that you will make time later when you are financially secure. But life is uncertain, and the opportunity to turn to Allah, spend in His cause, and seek His pleasure may never come if you keep delaying. The love for wealth can make you so attached to the dunya that you forget it is temporary, and that the real life is the life to come. This attachment can also make it difficult to part with your money for charity, because every act of giving feels like a loss, rather than an investment in the hereafter. The danger of making money the center of your life is that it enslaves you. Instead of money serving as a tool to fulfill your needs and do good, it becomes the master you serve, shaping your choices and controlling your emotions. When you gain wealth, you may feel overly proud, and when you lose it, you may fall into despair. Your happiness becomes tied to something unstable, and your peace depends on circumstances that are constantly changing. This is why Islam teaches that money should be in your hand, not in your heart. When it is in your heart, it will drive you endlessly, leaving you restless and unsatisfied. The world around us often glorifies the chase for wealth. Advertisements, media, and even societal expectations push the idea that more is always better, that your status is defined by your possessions, and that your success is measured in material terms. Falling into this mindset makes it easy to forget that the most valuable things in life, faith, health, love, family, peace of mind, cannot be bought. Many who chase wealth realize too late that they have missed the moments that truly mattered: the joy of family gatherings, the calm of sincere prayer, the peace of a simple life lived for the sake of Allah. When you step back from the race for money, you start to see the blessings in what you already have. You begin to work for the sake of fulfilling your responsibilities and seeking Allah's pleasure, rather than feeding your ego or impressing others. This doesn't mean giving up ambition or refusing opportunities, but it means aligning your goals with your values. It means remembering that every breath is a gift from Allah, and every coin you earn is a trust that you will be accountable for. In the end, it is not the size of your bank account that will matter, but how you earned it and how you used it. If you live with the mindset that your worth and happiness come from money, you will always be chasing and never arriving. But when you live with the mindset that money is simply a means, and Allah is the true provider, you will find peace whether you have little or much. You will measure success by obedience to Allah, not by the size of your earnings, and you will no longer be blinded by the glitter of this world that fades so quickly. Barakah is one of the most beautiful and subtle blessings that Allah places in wealth, time, health, and every aspect of life. It is something that cannot be measured in numbers or seen on paper, yet it can be felt and experienced in ways that often leave a person amazed. When wealth is earned the halal way, with honesty, integrity, and a clear conscience, Allah places barakah in it, and that barakah can make even a small income stretch far beyond what logic would suggest. Without barakah, even large amounts of money can disappear quickly, leaving a person constantly worried and dissatisfied. The way wealth is earned has a direct impact on whether it will carry barakah or not, because Allah does not bless earnings that come through haram means such as deceit, theft, interest, exploitation, or corruption. What is earned through disobedience to Allah may look abundant in the short term, but it will be deprived of true benefit, and may even become a source of harm to the one who possesses it. When a person chooses to earn in a halal way, they are not only obeying Allah but also protecting their heart from the stains of greed, dishonesty, and exploitation. This obedience invites divine assistance, as Allah promises in the Quran to bless those who are conscious of Him, and to provide for them from sources they could never imagine. Working in a halal way often requires patience and trust, because the path of integrity may sometimes appear slower or less profitable in worldly terms. However, the believer knows that what is earned with the pleasure of Allah will always carry more lasting benefit than what is gained through compromise of values. Barakah is not only in the amount earned, but also in the peace of mind that comes with knowing you have nothing to hide, nothing to feel guilty about, and nothing that will haunt you in the hereafter. The effects of barakah in wealth can be seen in the way it fulfills needs, covers expenses, and leaves room for generosity. A person with barakah in their earnings will find that they are able to give in charity without feeling deprived, to meet their family's needs without excessive strain, and to enjoy the blessings they have without falling into extravagance. On the other hand, someone without barakah may constantly feel short, no matter how much they earn, and may find themselves unable to contribute to good causes because every coin feels like it must be held tightly. This is why scholars have always emphasized that it is better to earn little with halal than to earn much through haram, because the former carries divine blessing while the latter carries hidden harm. Barakah also brings contentment, which is one of the most valuable treasures a person can have. When you know that your earnings are pure, your heart is at ease, and you are not constantly comparing yourself to others or chasing more without end. This contentment allows you to live within your means, to avoid debt, and to focus on what truly matters in life. Without barakah, even the richest individuals can feel constantly unsatisfied, because their heart is attached to the endless pursuit of more. In contrast, a believer with barakah can feel rich even with little, because their wealth is accompanied by gratitude and peace of mind. The halal way of earning also strengthens trust between people and builds a reputation of reliability and honesty. In business, in employment, and in trade, those who act with integrity are valued, and their relationships often bring unexpected opportunities and blessings. This trust itself is a form of barakah, because it opens doors without deceit or manipulation. The Prophet I was known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, and his example shows that honesty in dealings is not only a moral requirement, but also a means of attracting the blessings of Allah in one's livelihood. Another important aspect of barakah in wealth is its connection to generosity. When Allah blesses your earnings, you find it easier to give in charity and to support those in need, because you recognize that your provision comes from Him and will be replaced by Him. The act of giving itself increases barakah, as the Prophet A taught that charity does not decrease wealth. Instead, it purifies it, multiplies its benefit, and protects it from harm. Those who hoard and withhold may think they are preserving their wealth, but in reality, they are depriving themselves of the spiritual and practical benefits that come with generosity. Barakah also extends to how wealth impacts your family. Earnings that are pure and halal bring peace into the home, strengthen relationships, and ensure that what you provide for your loved ones is free from the taint of haram. Feeding your family with halal sustenance is an act of worship that carries immense reward, and it safeguards them from the spiritual harm that can come from consuming wealth earned through forbidden means. Even in times of financial challenge, the presence of barakah can keep a household united, content, and hopeful. While the absence of it can create tension, dissatisfaction, and constant conflict, it is also important to remember that barakah in wealth is tied to barakah in time. When Allah blesses your earnings, He also blesses the way you use your time to acquire them. You may find that you are able to work reasonable hours, have time for your family, worship and rest, and still meet your needs. Without barakah, people often work long hours, sacrifice important aspects of their life, and still feel as though they are falling short. This balance between earning and living is one of the most overlooked signs of barakah. Yet it is one of the greatest sources of happiness and fulfillment. Ultimately, barakah in wealth is not about the number written in your bank account, but about the quality, benefit, and peace it brings into your life. It is about earning in a way that pleases Allah, using what you earn in ways that serve good purposes, and remaining grateful for whatever amount He has decreed for you. The believer understands that every coin is a trust, and that they will be asked on the Day of Judgment not only about how they earned it, but also how they spent it. When you live with this awareness, you prioritize halal means, avoid doubtful matters, give in charity, and trust that Allah will place blessing in whatever He provides. Knowing that no one can remove the barakah from what He has decreed for you, letting money serve you rather than own you, is a mindset that frees you from the endless chains of materialism and allows you to live a life of purpose, balance and spiritual fulfillment. Money is meant to be a tool, a resource placed in your hand to help you fulfill your responsibilities, support your family, contribute to society, and earn the pleasure of Allah. It was never meant to be the master that dictates your every decision, controls your emotions, or determines your value. When money owns you, every choice becomes a calculation of personal gain. Every opportunity is judged by its financial return, and every relationship is filtered through the lens of what benefit it can bring. This kind of attachment strips away sincerity and replaces it with self-interest, making your life revolve around numbers and possessions rather than meaning and legacy. A person who allows money to control them often lives in a state of constant stress, fearing loss, obsessing over increase, and never feeling satisfied regardless of what they achieve. They measure success by their income, status, and assets, forgetting that true success is defined by obedience to Allah and the impact you leave behind in the lives of others. This attachment also makes it difficult to part with money for charitable causes or to help others in need, because every coin feels like it reduces one's own security. Over time, such a mindset can lead to miserliness, greed, and a hardening of the heart. The Quran warns against the love of wealth that overwhelms the remembrance of Allah, because such love blinds the heart to its true purpose and distracts it from preparing for the hereafter. When money serves you instead, it becomes a means of empowerment rather than enslavement. You are able to use it to support your family in comfort, help the needy, invest in beneficial projects, and create opportunities for others without fear of loss, because you understand that provision ultimately comes from Allah, and will continue as long as He wills. This mindset brings freedom from the desperation to compete with others, or to constantly upgrade your lifestyle to match societal expectations. You learn to live within your means, prioritize your spending on what truly matters, and avoid falling into debt and extravagance simply to impress people. Your decisions about earning and spending are guided by values and principles, rather than by the pressures of greed or comparison. The Prophet taught that wealth in the hand is good when it is used for good, but wealth in the heart is dangerous, because it replaces reliance on Allah with reliance on possessions. When wealth is in your hand, you can control it. When it is in your heart, it controls you. Keeping wealth in its proper place requires constant self-reflection and gratitude. Gratitude reminds you that your wealth is a trust, not an entitlement, and that you will be held accountable for how you used it. Self-reflection helps you identify when your love for money begins to cross into attachment, prompting you to make changes before it consumes your priorities. Another sign that money serves you rather than owns you is your ability to give it away willingly when needed. Charity purifies wealth and protects it from harm, and it also protects your heart from becoming overly attached to it. When you give for the sake of Allah, you are training your soul to value the giver over the gift, the provider over the provision. This act of detachment strengthens your faith and ensures that you remain in control of your resources, rather than letting them control you. It also deepens your trust in Allah's promise that whatever you give will be replaced with something better, whether in this world or the next. People who let money serve them also understand the importance of balance between earning and living. They work hard and strive for excellence in their careers or businesses, but they do not sacrifice their health, family, or relationship with Allah for the sake of more income. They recognize that time is one of the greatest blessings, and no amount of wealth can buy back the moments missed in worship, family gatherings, or personal growth. This balanced approach allows them to enjoy the fruits of their labor while still prioritizing the things that matter most. Without this balance, the pursuit of money can easily consume a person's life, leaving little room for spiritual reflection, gratitude, or meaningful connections. Letting money serve you also means aligning your financial decisions with your values and long-term goals. It means asking not only, can I afford this, but also, does this align with my purpose? And will this bring me closer to Allah or further away? This level of intentionality transforms the way you earn, spend, and save. It leads you to seek halal sources of income, avoid wastefulness, invest in projects that bring benefit, and spend in ways that create lasting positive impact. Such a relationship with money turns it into a blessing that benefits you in both this world and the next, rather than a test that distracts you from your ultimate destination. When money is a servant, you are able to walk away from opportunities that compromise your ethics or faith, even if they promise great financial gain. You are not tempted to cut corners, cheat, or exploit others, because your self-worth is not tied to financial figures. This strength comes from knowing that Allah controls all provision, and that any wealth gained through haram means will be devoid of blessing. On the other hand, when money owns you, it becomes easy to justify unethical choices in the name of profit, leading to regret, loss of peace, and spiritual harm. Finally, letting money serve you allows you to leave behind a legacy that goes beyond material possessions. It enables you to use your wealth to build something that continues to benefit people long after you are gone, such as supporting education, helping the poor, funding community projects, or contributing to causes that uplift society. These acts of ongoing charity, or sadaqah jariyah, are investments in the hereafter, ensuring that your wealth continues to serve you even after your life in this world has ended. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer see money as the goal but as a means to fulfill your higher purpose, to seek the pleasure of Allah, and to prepare for the eternal life where true success will be measured